Good morning, America, and especially Texas. Today I want to talk to you just a little bit about my experience with PTSD. PTSD and me seems like a good title. One thing I want to draw your attention to up front, Dr. Prashant Sharma. The channel is Concise Psych. If you haven't visited his site or his channel, you should do so. It almost seems as if he's been following me around, documenting everything I do, and has posted it on his channel. He covers a lot about PTSD and also some TBI, new information, by the way. Now I want to get this out of your way so it doesn't distract. My daughter says my production value is not great, and it isn't, and that's fine. This is just you and me talking, essentially. Now, what I've had over the past couple of decades, what some of you are experiencing now, what some of you from, we'll say World War II forward, because that's the only folks I've had contact with, is from World War II generation all the way to today. It is common. If you think you're the only one out there that gets easily frustrated, that can be super calm in a crisis and look like a hero, and then the next minute you're kicking over a trash can because something stupid happened, because you broke the lid on your pencil, for example. I couldn't understand why I would do such things. I thought something was wrong with me, and yeah, there is something wrong with me, but it's pretty much beyond my control. I am taking responsibility for everything I did, and I'm not really too stoked about that, but once it was explained to me, or to YouTube, by Dr. Sharma, I understood a great deal more. This video would have taken a much different direction had I not found his videos 2 nights ago. At any rate, check him out, he's good. Also know that if you are having difficulty adjusting to civilian life, if you're one of the many of us who didn't get that transitional phase coming back from the Army into the civilian world, then you had a lot less help and you're having to cope on your own. Doing that on your own is not a positive experience. A lot of people are going to have trouble self-medicating, and that is basically what looks like alcoholism, and I suppose it is. At any rate, you're destroying yourself because of something you have no control over. What you may want to do is start understanding why it's happening to you. Go to that channel. I'm not paid to plug Dr. Sharma, but go to the channel and you start understanding how things work and why you are the way you are. Of course, he always advocates seeking some sort of treatment, which is fair. But to let you know what happened to me is I always said that everything's great. Sunshine, rainbows, unicorns, that's all I had in my world whenever the VA would question me about things. Why is that? Well, I'm talking to you, CMF 11 and 18 in the Army, because that's what I know. All you combat arms guys out there. Now, that's not to say that no one else has any kind of issues. Imagine being a truck driver and having to watch the road every single time you drive on it. And I'm not just talking about in some foreign country. I'm talking about when you're driving down the road and you see something that doesn't look right in the road and you swerve to avoid it, because in your head that means danger. You never really calm down. So it doesn't matter if you were a cook, if you were infantry, paratrooper, SF, Delta Ranger, Raptor Group, whatever you want to call yourselves or whatever you were. It's indiscriminate. But the reason I specifically mention the combat arms guys is because I have a point of reference. And what I know is if you go on sick call, you're in the sick, lame, and lazy group. In fact, that's what they used to call it. It would be fallout for sick, lame, and lazy. No one wants to be in that group. You have to be tough. You have to be hardcore. Now, that is not an indictment of the system or even this unfortunate moniker of sick call. You have to be able to push on. If you're out somewhere and the mission depends on you, you can't just take a break. You can't say that you don't feel like going on a mission today. You have to power through it. And yes, that's at the expense of your body and mind, unfortunately. But it seems like in order to get that done, you have to be rebuilt into a soldier who, in appearance, doesn't feel pain or doesn't feel emotion. Now, in the moment, yeah, you pass through all that stuff because you're busy, you got your mind off of it. Maybe you go into the civilian world and you get a job and you got your mind off of it. What happens when you retire? What happens if you have free time? There's a lot of veteran unemployment, and that is unfortunate because, of course, I'm a little biased, but veterans are some of the greatest assets a company could have. One of the problems is civilians who, of course, do not understand veterans really at all. Some of the things we say, some of the things we do, the inefficiency in a civilian workplace really crawls us. I don't know if it'll ever get any better, but civilians view us in a different light. Therefore, we have to, I guess, fit in. Our mission now is to get well, is to get back into the groove of things and get normal, whatever that's considered to be. As a matter of fact, I was fired from a job wherein I was the number one in a worldwide group in my job 4 out of 6 years. First year I didn't make it, of course, because I was learning. The following years I did. I was top in my field. I was even put into a VIP section to handle only certain cases. I went in for review February, and I mentioned that I'd been to the VA. I started telling them some honesty. I didn't tell that dude that, but they put me on some medication that was messing with my thought process, my cognitive functions. So I felt compelled to tell the doctor, to tell my supervisor at the time about this, and that I felt that my performance would be better once I adjusted to the medications and so on. Once again, 6 out of 6 years, another perfect 5-star review. 2 months after I told him this, I was fired, just out of the blue, the day before I was scheduled to take a vacation. Of course, I couldn't take a vacation after that, but whatever the case, things are going to happen to you specifically because you have this. Maybe it's because you can't blend in. Maybe it's because of fear, and that is a real thing. Dr. Sharma, another plug, Dr. Sharma also covers that on his channel, that civilians do tend to look at us in a different way, and there may be a modicum of fear because we are well trained, because we were soldiers or sailors or Marines or airmen. We're different from the rest of the world, and not necessarily because it's innate or inherent. Well, I guess it would be inherent because of our training and because of what we did. So we're not like them, so they don't understand us. What you have to do is figure out how to readjust yourself, how to realign yourself, how to get back to civilian mode. 20 years later, I'm still not. On Dr. Sharma's channel, I saw people 35, 40 years past their ETS date, and they are still having problems. That's because you don't get help, you don't seek to adjust anything. In some future videos, I'm going to talk about what it is that I do, and establishing a routine for me is number one. And if I get off that routine, I tend to throw a shoe, as it were. It puts me off balance. If I don't go and do a little workout, or I don't have my vitamin first thing in the morning, it's little things. I try to keep that schedule pretty regimented, and the routine and regimented schedule actually helps me out because I know what to expect next, and I know that tomorrow morning I'm going to do the same thing. It may seem dull, but dull is much preferred over losing your shit over every simple little thing that basically constitutes a stump the toe incident. One thing I'd like to say in closing is that I only got rated 5 years ago at 100%. They did their review, put me on 35% for PTSD, and then like the VA, they did an early re-examination and gave me an MMPI, set me up with some other psych doc, and after which they doubled it quickly. MMPI, Minnesota Multiphasic Personality Inventory, I think is what that stands for. That is one of the definitive diagnostic tools of the psych profession. So yeah, I finally had to admit it, and admitting it, at least for my generation, for my MOS, for my military job, that kind of hit me hard, because all my life I've had to be tough, and that's been my mindset. But I'm trying to step that down. I'm trying to lose the aggression. I'm trying to be more peaceful. I have a friend of mine that was in Central America with me, and he just started his journey, I'm going to say within the last few months. I think he also got tired and realized that it was time to do something. And maybe you have had that epiphany moment, maybe you haven't. Whatever the case, get some help. Even if you don't think you need it, just do it as a personal favor to me, a guy you've never met, a guy you don't know, a guy that doesn't sign your paycheck. But I think as veterans, we kind of need to stick together, and I mean that in a good way. I have friends that, for example, one, I told him, I know what you're going through because that was me 10 years ago. 10 years ago, I see the same behaviors in you that I see in myself, or saw in myself, rather. So check in with your buddies, get yourself some help, establish a routine. Try to stop drinking, or at least minimize that if you can. Medication is a good kickstart. If you get on VA medication, or excuse me, psych medication, make sure that that's tempered. Make sure you report into your doc. Let them know what's going on, because it caused a lot of cognitive dysfunction in me, and I started dropping things, which I later found out was a side effect of the medication. I've also picked up guitar a few years back as a way to take my mind off of things, which is major. If you're playing guitar, at least as poorly as I am, you have to really pay attention to what you're doing. If I get on the guitar, 5-10 minutes later, I get into it, and then I forget why I was so mad in the first place. So find something you can do to distract yourself, but you have to make a change, and you have to make that change soon. Again, people don't understand us. They misinterpret what we say and do. So we need to protect ourselves. We need to stick together. If you've got a veteran friend you haven't talked to in a long time, especially if you were overseas, then you probably should text them. Go, hey man, I'm just checking in on you. There's nothing wrong with that. And I'll still do that myself. I'll check in and go, hey man, I was just thinking about you the other day. You doing all right? Something like that. It doesn't take much, just a text. That text may make a difference. Hope you all good mental health, good physical health. And for you infantry guys, for you SF guys, for your Rangers, for your paratroopers, physical health also. Keep an eye on those knees. These two beautiful scars I have down here that you can't see is pretty much common among our kind, more especially if you were a jumper. Take care of yourself, get to the VA, get the help that you need. I will retain all the comments that I get, although I am going to make sure that I proctor them, because this is not going to be a dick measuring contest or Delta Mike Charlie. We're not trying to outdo each other. That's what we need to get away from. We've already had to be tough. We don't need to continue to prove that we are. So if you post something, the comment may not show up, but I'll take note of it. And in future videos, if you have something to say of substance, then I will include a little spot on that as well. Good luck to you all.